I'm Flora. I'm with Glenn today. He's my guest for my show. And today we'll be discussing about building a positive relationship with your child. A little introduction. Myself and Glenn both have children and they're both boys. So we've got quite a lot in common. And I'm just going to ask them a few questions. We'll both answer it together and just flow with the conversation. So mistakes will happen, but it's fine. It's part of the process. And yeah, so thank you for watching and let's get into it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Glenn, what would you say is a good relationship building with your son?
Well, I guess from birth, the bonding, just holding your child, ensuring that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
So that would be, from the changing of the nappies, it could be the changing of the clothes, the washing, just speaking to your child, and playing games with them. In particular, talking to them, and holding them. So that's good from the very beginning, from when my child was born. I ensured that I had these kind of things in place, and as he grew, he was so familiar with me that it wasn't like there wasn't this detachment between father and son, and because it was playful, there wasn't this detachment or separation between the adult and child. Although there was a clear understanding that I was his father and he was my child, there wasn't detachment in terms of the socialization, the talking, the laughing, the playing, and things like that. So, nowadays, now he's 7 years old. It's still the same. It hasn't changed. So it's now just changed in terms of, instead of being indoors, we're now outdoors playing games. We're going to meet the family. We are talking. How is school? How do you feel? Giving some advice and discipline as well, because between the baby stage and to the toddler to the infant, the independence that a child gains from their learning throughout all that experience, discipline needs to be replaced with just the love and the games.
Discipline.
So the relationship building somewhat becomes the child parent relationship now, and it gets a little bit more difficult to put that in place. So they have to learn as they go along how to be disciplined. So doing some chores in the house,
of course,
helping out with the cooking, even if it's passing an item from the fridge. They get to play games, but there's a time to stop playing games, and understanding when that is time, when to go to bed, and listening first time.
Hey, listen, bro. Turn your ears on and listen.
Listening first time, because they often, with their independence, want to do their own thing. They don't want to stop playing. They might not want to jump in the bath, and so you might have to tell them things a couple of times. All right, go run your bath. All right, it's time for bed. And they hear you, but they're not hearing
Selective
you.
hearing, guys. Selective hearing.
So, and whilst this is your practice as being a parent, if you're a first time parent, you might let it slide the first time and second time, and I found that letting that happen, they get used to it, and so you have to withdraw and say, no, listen, first time now. And so that relationship building, discipline is come a part of that in the later years now. So but after all, it's just making sure the child knows that they're loved, and you ensure that you instill in them that they love their parents.
Thank you for your perspective. For my perspective, I believe building a relationship is always that foundation. Once you get to hold obviously I'm a first time parent, I'm guessing you also are a first time parent, so obviously we're both learning as it goes. We will make mistakes, it's part of the process. And for me, what I do with my son is that I'm a firm believer that you have to be strict but not too strict. So be playful but not too playful. They need to understand who is the adult and who is the child. But with me, I do tend to let things slide. I know I'm so bad. I do tend to let things slide, and it's a thing where he's got into a habit where it's, oh, mum is just gonna let it slide, and I'm like, do you know what? I'm too tired for this. But then obviously it's either 1, 2, 3, we're going to bed.
That's right.
The third time, we're going to bed, even if he's, for example, having a discussion where it's out of the topic where we need to go and brush our teeth and go to bed. You don't listen to it, you're going to bed. So with me, with my son, what I tend to do is I also listen to his what he wants. For example, okay, Mama, I want to, for example, go to the National History Museum like we went yesterday. Yes, we'll go to it, but however, you need to do A, B, and C before you get your reward. For example, obviously, I told him once you do good in your report for school, we'll go to National History Museum, and he suggested also to go to Disneyland, and I also suggested because I want to go. Obviously, you know, it's a thing where building a relationship is about listening to the child and the child listening to you, and also understanding that you have to do what a parent tells you to do. Some children will listen, some children won't, but you know, we just have to keep the faith and believe that they need to do it all. That is it. So yeah, thank you. Why is building good relationship with your child important?
Well, building a good relationship with your child is important because it's about maintaining that bond that you had when you gave birth and when you first held your child as a man when he was delivered. You know, that love is really important to the child's welfare, well-being, their mentality, their the psychology of the child that they have. And so to be a family, a healthy family, and for that child to be a healthy child, there needs to be positive and good relationship building all the way through. It's not entirely realistic.
Yeah.
Because particularly as a first-time parent, where there's challenges of being tired, in particular when they're newborns,
especially,
and you have to stay up all night or wake up 3-4 times
Tell
a night,
me about it.
and throughout the day and so on. And so, you know, that tiredness can have effect on the relationship that you have with your child. You might just be a little bit snappy, a bit moody, and so, you know, that can have a real effect. But then also that love that you have for your child is never gone, so you remind yourself of, oh well, it's all out of love. So you know what, I'm not moody, I'm not tired. And so when you have the good relationship with your child, you maintain it, it just helps to reinforce that family bond. And a lot of children don't have that. Sometimes they don't have this idea about what a family should be, what a healthy family should be, and so they stray away, and the behavior, it can manifest in their behavior. Sometimes at school, in the house, and so on. So it's just about, you know, ensuring that that child has a good psychological sort of health, emotional health, and their education of family. So it's important so that you can maintain that good family relationship, I think.
With me, in regards to building a positive relationship, why it is important is that once you've got that foundation, as we answered previous question, is that if anything should happen to the child, God forbid, they have the confidence to approach you without you, for example, snapping at them, not listening to them, or telling them, you know what, it's not important, because you build that foundation already, as you mentioned, and that child has that confidence to say, okay, Daddy, for example, you know, something happened at school, or this is how I feel, how do you think I should try and resolve it? Because they know that you're there for them, they know that you're going to listen to them, they know that you're not going to shut them down, they know that you're not going to tell them, you know what, no, it's not important, you're going to try and find an answer to their question. It might not be the best answer in the world, but you know, they rely on you, you're basically their foundation, you're there for them, if that makes sense. So once you've got that foundation, they feel my dad or my mom will always be there for me, and no matter what happens to me, I can easily approach them. Because going back, you know, when I was a child, for example, I didn't feel confident to approach my mom or my dad, because I felt as if, would they, you know, shut me down, or would they just not listen? You know, in regards to that, actually, I want to ask you, when you were a child, did you feel confidence to go approach your parents in regards to matters that may concern you?
Probably not. Probably similar to you, and I didn't. I know, but the parenting, probably when we grew up, I'm 38 now.
Yeah.
And the late 80s, early 90s, let's say early 90s, late 90s, but was different then. The parenting was different then. It was a lot more stricter. It was a lot more discipline in place. Plus, we had a lot more, it was more of a religious country. And so a lot of your guidance would come from maybe Christianity, Islam, and so on. Let me speak for Christianity. But it was much more stricter, and so you may have thought maybe let me deal with this by myself, or maybe that we just never had that type of parent-child relationship to be talking to adults like an adult. And so for me it was more like, let's deal with it myself, or it was just about figuring it out, yourself, and it's not to say that I don't think we had good relationships with our parents.
They were just different.
They were just different, absolutely. So, but I think there's a benefit to the side of maybe they're not so strict now. We've got a lot of discipline and structure in place, but I think we can learn a lot more. We've learned a lot more now about, the talking and allowing that child to express themselves. So for me, like I said in the first question, it's about asking them questions. How do you feel? What do you think? From an early stage, that they can get used to it. I think they still do what we did, and they'll keep things away. So it might just be a child thing, but at least from our part as parents, if we're able to ask those questions and push that,
you get scared a bit.
That's right, exactly, So at least there's some element there of asking how you feel and getting them to open up.
So would you say that because of our the way we were brought up in the new modern age now, would you say that would you agree that we would do it differently when we're parenting our children? We wouldn't really, we'll pick up things from our parents obviously, but not the too over like strict. Would you say you do it differently?
Right, absolutely. I think there's still, the old school way of parenting was really good actually. It did keep children in their place. They had manners.
I agree.
And so there was a lot to learn from there. I think it's just adding on top of that, and adding more, unless we're not more.
Take out my belt.
We're less confrontational now. In this day.
We're more reliable. Like we're more not BFF with our children. We're more like, you can come to me. I'm ready to listen.
Right. Exactly. So I think we should need to continue that. You know. And there's still lots to learn, but I think a lot of parents out there, which is good while we're doing this, may never have had a parent who allows them to open up and ask them questions, and they might not have had anybody talk to them and say, have you tried this and that. So it still might be, they might still have a certain parenting style that's not necessarily benefiting them and the child. So it's very good that we can have these conversations and share between each other, so others can pick up on a few things that they may have not tried.
Amazing. Thank you. How do you think it might impact their mental well-being?
The parenting is a lot of issues that kids have, I think, psychologically, emotionally, stem from their childhood. So, it's like we were saying, it's just very important that love and bond still remains from a child, and that the parent-child relationship is healthy, and not necessarily negative. So the child, you're not seeing them withdrawn, you're not seeing them just acting out, not listening, isolating themselves. And so that's all signs of something, that's all signs of something psychologically that is going on within the child, that's also not necessarily being addressed by the parent. They might not know, they just be like, he's like this, let me do some more discipline to try and fix this, where actually talking to the child, getting them to open up. How do you feel? What did you feel when I said this? Why did you say that? You know I love you. And reinforcing that I love you, you know, can really help. Taking them out, holding their hand. Because I remember, you know, I used to hold my child's hand. Now I'm more like, get off my hand, because he's getting bigger and older, so you don't see it as much in society. And so that's on my head. To be like, oh, get off. So you hold my hand and I'll flick it off. He does play with me sometimes and he'll just poke, you know. But I had to realize that actually that was something that he's always had. He's always had me holding him, in a cradle position, putting him to bed, picking him up, throwing up. And that connection
is there.
That he's always had, and now I'm kind of pushing it away. We might not actually understand the impact of that. So I've had to go back and think, without knowing, all right, so how can this be replaced, or how's it going to make him feel every time I do it? I didn't think about how he felt when I was like, get off my arm for a while, and then it occurred to me actually, that might be his way of still keeping that bond. So for me to get rid of it completely can have a psychological effect on him. The smallest of things, and it might not necessarily manifest in him that he knows what it is, but it's very important to at least think, how are my actions impacting the child, and how that's going to impact them psychologically. So it's more like, all right, I'll put my arm on your shoulder, you know,
no more hands on your shoulder,
that and the other, you know, and slowly as they get older, more independent, they can maybe more break away. But even then, it might change from a hand on the shoulder to when we meet and greet, or a hug every now and then, you know. So it's not every day when we're walking on the street, but you know, when we have that talk, you know, I love you.
Exactly.
You know?
No, I agree. I agree. Do you know what? I have nothing to add. He's answered everything, so I'm quite happy with that. What would you say the areas you need to work on as a parent in order to have a stronger relationship foundation with your child?
I think for me, it's the parent, the balance between your life and what you need to do, and being a parent for them in their life. So there's things that I expect my child to know by now, but he's still a child, so he might need to do his chores, might need to run his bath, he might need to cream his skin and things like these. And I'll be like, you know, can't you do it by now? But he's still 7 years old.
He's still young.
And there's no particular age that a child should have to not want the parent to still care and look after them. And so, you know, it's a challenge to have that balance of allowing them to learn how to act in this world, how to function in the world safely, healthily, and also still be that parent that is guiding and looking after them as well. So it's that balance between doing that, but also you find yourself looking after a child 24/7 from birth. And then when they become more independent, it's as if the child still wants that 24/7 parenting. And so when you're washing the dishes, or if you've got to do some cleaning in the house,
tell me about it.
Although you can get them to help you, it's not all the time that you know, they
want to do
help you, and they'll still be asking for this, asking for that, and you may sometimes get annoyed and be like, you go do it yourself, or this, that, and the other. And it's thinking, all right, am I being harsh, or should he actually do this by himself? So it's that balance all the time, and trying to get that balance right.
From my perspective, that foundation again is having a trust with your child, and also understanding that each children are unique and rare, meaning that they will do things when they're ready, but at the same time, it's like, for example, 7 years old, you should be able to, you know, at least sweep something. But again, as parents, I don't think we have the patience of waiting, if that makes sense. Like we're eager, like, but you're this age, you should be, like, we always compare our children when we shouldn't really be doing it, but it's easy said than done, you know. And in regards to my child now, he's at the stage, for example, now where his emotions are everywhere. Whereas every time he comes from school, it's constantly crying. It's a thing where, what do I do? Do I just cuddle you, or like I'm at the stage where I'm like, what do I do? Because I'm cuddling you, we're having conversations. There's something happened at school, for example, that you didn't like. There's something happened at home before school that you didn't like. But I feel a bit drained. Right. But I understand that you are there for them. Even if you're drained or you're not drained, you chose to have a child. You need to deal with everything that comes with it. So I'm at the stage where it's like, okay, in order for that relationship to be stronger, I need to always be available for my child. I need to always make time for my child. I may be working, I may be studying, but I need to also understand that they're not going to be a child for any longer. Eventually, they're going to grow up and you're going to miss all those times because you chose to do work, study, but you didn't choose to be with your child. And that, again, impacts them mentally. Absolutely. Once they grow up, that would impact them. That's when the resentment comes in because you wasn't there. So, again, that foundation is always be available.
Absolutely.
Be available. Parents, our fathers, be available, please.
Yeah, that's it. I'm mostly my child's here on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm here with him by myself. So, we have to sort of factor that in, that, if another parent isn't around, maybe at work or not. Yeah. But it's not usual for one parent to do everything by themselves.
That's true.
If you're doing the school run, you're preparing their breakfast in the morning, getting them ready, do the school run, go to work, study.
It's a lot.
Pick them up, come back, tidy up again.
This is my story of my life.
Do the cooking, prepare them. When do you get time for yourself to do it? So it's an actual real big challenge.
Yeah.
To give them a lot of all the time that they need and may require. And so we have to sort of take that into consideration, I think, for any single parents out there or anyone doing it, where the dad might be at work or somewhere else, that quite often children have two parents, and so that can be balanced between the two. And so children in single parent families and with both parents in the household, there's two different, it has to be looked at differently.
It's shared, especially with two households. It's shared. Yeah.
And it's just how do we navigate through that and ensure that we can still get that balance right, give them all the attention they need. So it's not easy.
It's not, but we're doing a great job.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. So
I agree.
People need to know as well that, it's not just them that have the same sort of experiences. So I have this every week.
Me every day. Me every day.
Yeah.
Thank you. How would you create time to spend with your child?
Create time to spend, for me, because we're separated family. He lives with his mum Monday to Friday. He goes to school Monday to Friday. So I have the weekend with my son. So I've had to, at first, I was still used to going out, going out to the bar, going out to dinner, meeting friends and things like that. I had to come to terms with letting all of that go when I had a child, so that I could spend the time with my child every weekend. And so, you have to make the commitment once you have a child. For a lot of women, it's different, but I think from a guy's perspective, I'd like to share that we need to make the commitment. For a woman, she delivers, she has that commitment. There's no question about it. There's no choice in the matter. And quite often when you're separated from a female, your responsibility as a man has to be looked at as the same as the female, the mother in the relationship. They're 100%.
Sorry, we need more men like this. Please, brothers.
It's 100% commitment from both parents. Whatever she's expected to do and will have to do, you should also see yourself equally having to do all of those same things. It's just that it's coming from a masculine perspective, man perspective, and a woman, and they can add different things. But 100% in your mind as a man, when you have a child, you cannot separate. You always have to have time, even if it is just a weekend. For me, it's not nowhere near as much effort that I have to put in Monday to Friday for the mum. But where it's just because of the school arrangement and that we're not together. But in your mind, at least, you must keep 100% commitment there to look after that child. So, yeah, you need to input. Even in the week, if I had to come down after school, pick them up, maybe things ain't going well in the evening. If I can get down at 4 p.m, 5 p.m. to the house and just play whilst mum has 2-hour break, can do some work, just put your feet up, you know, I will try to do that. And that, I think that needs to be looked at for the man much more. We don't hear these conversations online or anywhere else about the man putting in as much commitment when you're in a separated relationship. So, yeah.
Thank you. That was actually in depth. Like, that was, I've never heard it from a man's perspective. So I really appreciate the details that you've actually highlighted. And again, when, like you've mentioned that when we carry the child, you know, it is a long 9 months. And then when they come out, they look at their fathers. So, you know, so I know you guys are high in our room, but come on, man, give us some credit. So yeah, when you do have a child, you need to, you know, you need to understand that you need to sacrifice something. Something needs to give, you know. So, you know, I'm very thankful for that there is hope. There are guys like you that are also able to do at least, you know, probably 20% of the work, which, you know, it means a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you, honestly. Yeah, we need to thank our prince, our king man. What one tip would you share with parents in regards to relationship building? So what's the one thing you think is very important that parents should also use?
In relationship building, I would try to think of it as remembering when they were first delivered, you know, how you felt, what it meant to you when it was first delivered. I can't know this experience from a female perspective, but I could see it. You know, I could see it means a lot. You know, the bond and the love is very strong, and so that should never leave. You know, whenever I'm upset, or if I'm tired, or if I don't have the time, I always revert back to that time where he was born and I had that love and bond. So that drives everything for what I do. So I would say, you know, I don't know if we'd say I love you to our kids and then get them to say I love you back. That's a lot more. Is to keep them, get them to invest in you as a parent, to understand that they need to love back as well. Yeah, because the kids, they just want to play, they just want to, you know, you're always either giving them something to do, discipline, this, that and the other. And, you know, I would like to see more for my son, although I haven't got it 100% right, is him showing back the care and love for family, investment in family. And so it's love for you to be able to give your parent a break.
Oh, please, we all need it.
Yeah, it's love to listen, maybe not every time, to listen first time and go to have your bath or to go to bed. You know, it's love to help your parent to do the chores. Today, oh, you know what, Mum, I'm going to sweep the floor. Let me do it today. You know, and then for them to actively want to do that and think for that by themselves. So if I can get my child to do that, I would to invest back in that love back. Which he does in, you know, here and there. I would try to get him to, you know, equally have that same energy back. He loves me. But mostly when he needs me.
When he wants something.
Willing to get them to action, doing something for someone. And instilling that.
So for me, I think the one advice I'll give to parents out there, I think listening to our children, because I think we don't do enough of listening to our children. Their voice matters. Their voice are important, and, you know, children are the future. And so for me, it's that we need to listen more to the children than telling them what to do. Because like you were saying, sometimes they don't listen because we're not listening. If we don't listen, why should they?
Exactly.
So obviously we are the role models, and what we do is what they see. And you may think that they're not seeing it or hearing it, but children are selective hearers, which means that they're hearing what they want to hear. They're doing what they want to do because they're seeing you do it.
Right.
You might not know that you're doing it, but they're seeing it. So I think for me is that we need to listen more, and we need to also take into consideration that although our children are little, but they're also human beings, and once we listen, we get the information, we know how to adapt, and we know how to work around what it is that might be impacting them. So my only advice is that we just listen more and, you know, understand what it is that our child wants to tell us.
Great.
So yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. 100.
Yes, definitely. So this is the end of our video, and you know, this topic was something that we obviously wanted to do and touch on, and I'm happy that Glenn was able to be here as a male perspective to also see what they go through, and you know, to share with us, you know, females or women, what we also need to do more to help them as well. We also need your help as well. So, you know, I'm very thankful for today's video, and I honestly hope that the information that Glenn and myself has shared with you guys has been positive, and you guys can also use a few tips. And if you have any comments, please leave below, like and subscribe. Would you like to say anything else to finalize?
Good luck.
Good luck. We all need it. So thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.